What's up, A to Z Sports Live on this Thursday? Going to have a great show talking Titans and taking a break from the NFL draft and discussing what the Titans are doing and bringing in a veteran wide receiver for a visit this week. What does it mean for Treylon Burks going into his third year as a former Titans first-round draft pick? But everybody who was involved in bringing Treylon Burks to the Titans is basically gone. So here we go on this Thursday morning. Going to have a strong conversation in the Magic Bucket. Jack will wrap us up for the morning. For some reason, I don't think YouTube's really gone live yet. I'm trying. There we go. Now YouTube is going live. So we're going to have a strong show here on this Thursday morning, talking Tyler Boyd and Treylon Burks. What does it all mean? And then the Magic Bucket we'll get to as well. So what's up, Jack? Let's get this thing rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, big news came across the wire yesterday, and a lot of Titans fans are interested in talking about it. So I don't want to hold this show up any more than we already have. Austin, let's get this thing on the road here.
Yep, let's do it officially. Make sure everybody shares the show, though. We got people to share the show.
Share the show. Do your homework. Don't forget to share the show. If you're watching on Facebook, let's make sure to like the show on the way in. No likes I'm seeing on my screen right now. So let's get
13.
those numbers up.
I see 13.
Okay. I don't know why it's not coming through on my end.
Something weird happened. Like we hit the go live button, and then it took like a solid 45 seconds for YouTube to actually go live. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that, but we're starting to get some likes rolling in. So yeah, let's get it going officially. Good. Welcome to A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Jack Gentry of the Tighten Up Podcast, and we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 a.m.-ish Central Time. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us, and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive and orthopedic insurance there. And also Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get a quote today at fbhp.com/ATOZ. All right, Jack, we've talked a lot about the NFL draft over the last several days. I will give you an opportunity here to pump the podcast on the Tighten Up Pod for this week. So you haven't yet reacted to the draft this week. You were on Thursday and Friday nights in real time and last Friday morning. But what do you guys have coming up this week for the Tighten Up Podcast?
Well, it's out now, and, it's a good episode, in my opinion. We talked about the draft class. We made fun of mock drafts a little bit. We made fun of draft grades as well because everybody's, willing to throw grades on these players, and they haven't even hit the gridiron for practice yet with their new team. So it's a fun episode. We hand out some superlatives for the Titans draft class, kind of tie some back with Titans history. I think you guys will like, but it's a fun and entertaining episode this week. Go check out the Tighten Up Podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. We're on Apple, we're on Spotify, you name it. Go find us. Go listen to this week's episode. It's a lot of fun.
All right, so check that out right there, the A to Z Sports Podcast Network for the Tighten Up Podcast with Jack and Austin Huff. Every Wednesday there in your feeds. Okay, so break from draft conversation because news came out on Wednesday that a veteran wide receiver with Brian Callahan ties is set to visit the Titans this week. Tyler Boyd, former Bengals wide receiver from Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, was in Los Angeles this week to meet with the Chargers and will also head to the Titans later this week, per a source. So that is interesting as, we've talked a lot about the wide receiver needs in the draft and overall for this team. And Sam and I talked about this, like there could have been potential for the Titans to go wide receiver at 7 overall. They didn't at 38, and they waited all the way until 182 with Jaquan Jackson to address the receiver position. And now in the days after the draft, bringing in a veteran for a visit. I think that is interesting, Jack. What do you make of the wide receiver picture and Tyler Boyd maybe being a part of it post-draft?
Yeah, I mean, the Titans didn't really do a whole lot to address the wide receiver room in the draft. They brought in Jaquan Jackson, but at 5'9", and, his best season at Tulane, I don't even think he sniffed 500 receiving yards. That's not a guy you really want to rely on once the season gets rolling. Now, as a return man, Jackson makes sense. But when it comes to finding another weapon for Will Levis on offense, I think they still have a little work to do. And, it's no surprise that Brian Callahan, calls up an old friend, says, hey, Tyler Boyd, want to come down for a visit? He did some great things up in Cincinnati, and those two spent the last 5 years together. And, Tyler Boyd would come here and essentially play that same little number 3 role that he's been playing in Cincinnati with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins alongside of him. So it's an interesting decision. I'm all for it. Look, the Titans have some money left, man. They've got over $30 million left to spend. They got to sign the draft class, but there's still a couple moves to be made here for impact players in 2024. Like this roster, as we see it right now, it's gotten a whole lot better, but they're not done building this thing.
No, I agree. They're not done building this thing. And I Tyler Boyd's still available in free agency. As you mentioned, spent the last 5 years with Brian Callahan and Zach Taylor in Cincinnati. He's a former back-to-back 1,000-yard guy. Now you have to go back to 2018 and 2019 when he was able to do that. But then the year after that, and Jack, you and I talked about this in the pre-show meeting where we got off on a little tangent there. But like in 2020 is when T. Higgins and Joe Burrow came in, and T. Higgins, a high second-round draft pick, took some target share away from Tyler Boyd. And then the following draft is when Jamar Chase comes as a high pick and takes away even more target share from Tyler Boyd. And his production has dropped in all 5 years that Zach Taylor and Brian Callahan were in charge of the offense. That's because T. Higgins and Jamar Chase rose as one of the best young duo at wide receiver in the league. Joe Burrow obviously dealing with some injuries and some bad offensive line play, but had a lot of ups there. And Tyler Boyd is now 29 years old. And so I think that all of those things go into a blender, and that's why you get Tyler Boyd dropping his production over the last 5 years, but he still has some value there too. So let's get to the topic at hand, because I think that bringing in Tyler Boyd for a visit, not signing him yet, but bringing him in for a visit is interesting. And I think that could be some Treylon Burks insurance, because as of right now, Treylon Burks, the number 3 receiver, likely around, battling that third spot with NWI, who's back on another deal behind Ridley and Hopkins. Let's look at the 2023 stats between these two players, Burks and Boyd. Now, obviously, Treylon Burks can't stay healthy. He has been unable to stay healthy over his 2 years, playing in just 22 of 34 possible games in his first 2 seasons. 11 games last year, 30 targets, just 16 catches for 221 yards. One of those catches went for 70, which makes him a big chunk. So 15 for 150 outside of that one is not good, right? Tyler Boyd, 17 games, healthy at age 28 season, 98 targets, 67 catches for just under 700 yards and 2 touchdowns. So those are the stats there. There's been a lot made about Treylon Burks and what's happened with him the last couple of years and what's not been said about him from head coach Brian Callahan. But then Brian Callahan gets asked the Treylon Burks question by the biggest Treylon Burks fan to date, and that is Ron Slay on 3HL. And so pardon the animal noises that Ron Slay makes during this Brian Callahan answer about what Brian Callahan has seen from wide receiver Treylon Burks to this point.
That's a great question, because he's really had a fantastic start to the offseason program. I've been happy with what he's done. I have no idea. I mean that. That's honest. He's done a great job of learning and getting a bunch of different things down, and I think he's really stacked a handful of really good days together as we started. And so I'm optimistic about him contributing for us, and I think he's gone about it the right way. So really, I got a lot of respect for how he started it off. So
you just made his day, Coach.
Yes! You have no idea what you're doing right now, Coach.
Yes! Burks in the slot.
He's going to do a little bit of everything. He's got some versatility for us, so he'll be able to do some stuff outside. And really, ultimately, it's my role and our coaching staff's role is to find a handful of things that he can really help us with and highlight those as much as possible. And so some of it might be in a slot, some of it might be outside, but I'm fired up,
Okay.
man. I think he's got a chance to help us.
Because everybody reads into everything you say about everybody. So when you didn't mention him as a slot guy, I mean, does he
People
fit
were
in
like,
there?
well, maybe he's
or is he outside?
Oh yeah, yeah, he can fit in there. That thing kind of got blown out a little bit of proportion, but yeah, he can fit inside. I was talking more about like slot only players, guys that are kind of just slots. Whereas Treylon's got some versatility to play everywhere. He can play outside, he can play inside. And so we just got to find what those things are for him. So I think he's got a chance to help us in a lot of different spots.
And stay healthy. Love it.
That's the key for everybody. That's all of us.
All right, so there, Ron Slay making his animal noises. Apparently, there's a bet on A to Z Primetime last night with Buck and Slay about what Slay and Buck think that Burks will be in year 3. But beside the point, I think the interesting thing is Brian Callahan saying that him listing off Nick Westbrook-Akine, Kyle Phillips, Mason Kinsey, and talking about players who can play the slot and not mentioning Treylon Burks in that press conference over about a month ago or so was, slot only guys, right? And Treylon Burks can do it all. So, quickly, Jack, I'm going to give a sales pitch here in a minute, but quickly, Jack, what's your reaction on what Brian Callahan had to say about Treylon Burks amid the squealing of Slay?
Yeah, that was interesting. No, I don't. What's Brian Callahan supposed to say when asked about Treylon Burks, a guy who's struggled in the past? And he's a young guy on a rookie deal. Obviously, confidence has been an issue. Brian Callahan's not going to go out there and say, you know what, we're looking to find somebody else to replace him. We're looking to find somebody more reliable to fill that role. He's not going to say any of that. All he said is, he's had a good start to the offseason. I don't know what elicited that reaction, but Treylon Burks hasn't had anybody that fired up since he arrived here. So, I think that Brian Callahan said what he was supposed to say. He's not going to make a mistake to the media. He's not going to make a mistake talking about one of the guys that's on his roster. So I don't take a whole lot from this. He's had a good start to the offseason. So what? He had a great offseason last year. Didn't do anything in the regular season. It doesn't matter about, what happens in the offseason. It doesn't matter anymore for Treylon Burks. His narrative is all, on the field, what he hasn't done and how he hasn't been on the field. So until he does something, that matters on the field in the regular season, I'm still going to be waiting. I'm not impressed.
It's game day. Game day is when Treylon Burks has to come through. I don't give a damn about anything he does in practice. I'm with you on that. All right. So I've got a buy or sell for everybody that I'm going to pitch here in a moment. So get ready for it. I'm going to give you a sales pitch. And somebody joked, is this the return of our old segment, Bad Sales Job, that Zach and I used to do on Mondays? And no, it's not, because that got too intense and too competitive between Zach and I. So we had to retire that segment. We came up with the age game, which is more fun. So Bad Sales Job is not returning, but I'm going to give a sales pitch about Treylon Burks and what it means about Tyler Boyd making his visit to the Titans. But first, the Bone and Joint Institute is where to go when an injury arises. I told you guys I've had a little knee issue pop up over the last couple of weeks. And now I have already gone ahead and booked my appointment at the Bone and Joint Institute for a couple weeks from now with my guy, Dr. Scott Arthur, to make sure this knee is not going to become something even more significant. So that's where you should turn for any of those injuries that happen along the way of life, whether it's just life that catches you up, or if it's something that happens playing a rec sport. Maybe your son or daughter gets hurt playing youth sports. Hopefully not, but injuries are a part of it. And make sure you know where to go and who to trust. And all the experts and the resources that the Bone and Joint Institute have are right there for you in Franklin off I-65 and Highway 96. They've also got clinics opening up and established all around Williamson County to make it truly the region's destination for orthopedic and comprehensive sports medicine right there, or online to book an appointment, just like I did, boneandjointtn.org.
BetMGM.com, guys. If you're looking to get some skin in the game, maybe bet on the Predators this Friday as they're coming back to Nashville, hopefully to even up that series. Do it with BetMGM. New users, download the app, plug in our bonus code that you see on your screen, ATOZ Sports, and you'll get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. They've got great selection, live betting options, parlay features, you name it, they've got it at BetMGM. Download that app. Use our bonus code ATOZ Sports to get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses.
All right, then I just see this from Ira Hoshi. Says, my knee pops out of place all the time. I have to pop it back in. Well, it sounds like you need to go get some help because that's no way to live. But we all get stuff. All right, so here we go. I've got a sales pitch for what I think about this Tyler Boyd visit. So here is my buy or sell. I'll lay it out there to you guys, and then I'll describe what I'm doing here. I want you guys to buy or sell. The Titans bringing in Tyler Boyd for a visit means they want Treylon Burks insurance. So why I'm throwing this out there, why I feel like a Tyler Boyd visit is Treylon Burks insurance is because of the timing of how this has happened. It's after the draft. Brian Callahan was asked before the draft, what do you need to add in the wide receiver room? And he brought up slot and named slot. And so what I also know is that the Titans have gone through a voluntary OTA camp. They had this past week before the draft and some this week that on the field, going through practice drills and reps with a football, like doing things, catching passes from Levis, doing everything they can in the first year of a brand new head coach. So this coaching staff has, one, seen Treylon Burks practicing on the field. Two, waited until the 6th round, 182 overall, to draft a wide receiver who is a primarily slot receiver. Even if Rain Carthon thinks he's got ability to play outside, he is a primarily slot type of guy at 5'9", 188 pounds in Jaquan Jackson. Now, yes, Callahan goes on Monday, says all the right things, just like Jack said, but that Treylon Burks can play everywhere and have versatility. If Treylon Burks didn't have question marks about him, there is no need for Tyler Boyd to be added to this roster. That's my opinion. And they're bringing him in for a visit. And I get the slot thing, right? But I know that Calvin Ridley and D-Hop can both play from the slot and thrive in the slot. Burks thrived from the slot in college. So, Jack, buy or sell for everybody in the chat. The Titans bringing Tyler Boyd in for a visit means they want Treylon Burks insurance. That's buy or sell. Hit that like button and comment buy or sell. What do you think? I believe Tyler Boyd's visiting is Treylon Burks insurance.
Well, Titans Kyle believes that too because he's buying on YouTube. Brandon's selling. Jason's buying. Ira Hoshi says selling. They're just adding weapons. Ashley says sell. Buys from Jeff Rubel, Eric Castillo, and Daniel. Dylan Cole says sell. Jason agrees with him. Apollo says buy. Major Key says buy. Tighten Up says sell. Bork's buying it. They already got Phillips insurance in Jaquan Jackson. Steven says sell. Darius is buying. We got a sell from Lou Man. Buy from Grim, sell from Pistol. It's pretty 50-50 in the chat here, Austin. Richie's buying, top tier selling. It's alternating comments all the way down. We've got Jake, Titan, and Mr. Jones all selling. Brad agrees that it's a sell. Nick Ewing's buying the idea. Sell from Byron, sell from Chris, sell from Cameron. So probably more sells than buys. But Austin, I'm buying this thing, man. Okay. It's like, Treylon Burks is like a puppy, right? He's really young. He's still developing. He's still growing. But this puppy's broken his foot. He's fractured a rib. So, you can kind of feel something coming. And, it would be a disservice to yourself to not go out and buy pet insurance. Because when that ACL bill comes in, you don't want to be left holding that thing. And right now, the Titans with Treylon Burks, they've seen the signs early on. He's missed 12 games in 2 seasons as a Titan. An interesting fact about Tyler Boyd, he's played at least 15 games in every season since 2019. You want to surround Will Levis with stability, an offensive line who can protect, and receivers he can trust. Right now, I trust Nick Westbrook-Akine more than I do Treylon Burks. Will Levis gave plenty of shots to Treylon Burks down the field last year. Couldn't come up with big catches. Can't stay on the field. So, he's shown you kind of who he is as a player right now. And, based on this evidence, you have to go out and find an option. I don't necessarily believe this is insurance. I believe they're looking for a full-on upgrade. And that's exactly what Tyler Boyd would be if he ends up coming to Tennessee. The Chargers are an interesting option for him because he'd probably have a bigger role in that offense. But is Harbaugh really going to throw it around the field like Brian Callahan wants to? I'm not so sure. And picking Joe Alt in the first round with a need at wide receiver, that would, kind of back me up in my stance there. So, I think that I'm absolutely buying this. Tyler Boyd would be an upgrade over Treylon Burks. And, Treylon Burks behind these guys, you also got to think, like, what happens if something is to happen to DeAndre Hopkins or Calvin Ridley, who are both turning 30, and DeAndre Hopkins turns 32 in June. He's got a torn MCL 2 years ago. So there's some injury history there, and he's not getting any younger. What happens if one of those guys goes down? Like, we've already seen that Treylon Burks can't do it on the outside. The last hope for Treylon Burks is that he can produce out of the slot. But we know from 8 years of history that Tyler Boyd can produce out of that position, can produce as a number 3 in Brian Callahan's offense. So I'm buying the idea that they're going out and finding a guy to replace Treylon Burks, and that would be a full-on upgrade if Tyler Boyd's the guy.
So you think Tyler Boyd would be an upgrade over Burks as that wide receiver 3?
No doubt about it. I mean, look, Treylon Burks has played 22 games in the NFL. He's had 665 career receiving yards. That's 2 yards less than Tyler Boyd had last season. So, this is absolutely an upgrade. It's a stable upgrade. He's going to be on the field. He knows the system, and he's got experience working with young quarterbacks. Like, Joe Burrow was young at one point, still is young, even though, he's, mature and, proven at this stage in his career. But at one point, Joe Burrow was a young quarterback. Tyler Boyd was a reliable asset to him as a young quarterback. And that's something he can be for Will Levis as well.
Yeah. So King VC says, lock in and like the show here. So hit that like button. I know there's been a graphic snafu where for some reason a graphic from yesterday popped up, but we started off with the right graphic, something get goofy when now we're back on that. So lock in, like the show, as King VC says in that super chat. So here's what I think, though. I think you're going into a season where you have 2 receivers that are high quality in DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley. And then Hopkins is on an expiring deal. Ridley has a big 4-year deal. Both will be age 30 by the time the season ends. Hopkins is about to turn 33 next month, I believe. And Ridley will be 30 in December. Tyler Boyd is also 29 years old. That's a lot of veteran experience. You try not to call people old, so you just call them more mature or experienced or, wise. It's a lot of wisdom in that wide receiver room. And Titans Kyle says Boyd will be turning 30. So now you're talking about 3 receivers north of 30 by the time this 2024 season ends. That's a lot of investment in older players with a young quarterback that I don't know where that's going to be. And, Nick brings up in Ridley years, those receivers are only 25 as the joke goes around. So, I don't think it's a good thing for Burks that they feel the need to bring in Tyler Boyd on this visit too.
Yeah, it's absolutely not. And I mean, just because like Tyler Boyd's older, sure. And some of these guys that are around Will Levis right now are in their 30s or will be in their 30s, like you mentioned, by the time November rolls around. But, I would rather have older dudes who stay on the field. Like the concern with age is maybe like a decrease in production with a higher risk of injury. There's nobody who's at higher risk of injury than Treylon Burks has been these last 2 years. The concussion problems, all the conditioning issues that we I feel like are patched up by now, but there's lower body stuff. So
yeah,
give me an older guy who can stay on the field versus a young guy who is yet to prove that he can play a full season. The age doesn't matter to me. It's all about production, and Tyler Boyd's done nothing but produce. Hasn't gone under 600 receiving yards since his second year in the league. And that's exactly what you're looking for out of a number 3. Like, you hope that Ridley and you hope that D-Hop can flirt with that 1,000 number, but you need a third guy who can step in and do it. And when T. Higgins went down last year, Tyler Boyd proved that he can carry the load in a game or two if he needs to. He had over 100 yards in one game last year, and he's done it multiple times throughout, the last 2 years. So that's a guy who can step up if injuries do occur. Like, NWI's kind of been that guy lately. I don't want NWI to come in and fill the number 2 spot anymore. I'd rather Tyler Boyd, who's done that before, who's actually been a number 1 on his team for a couple of years when he went back-to-back 1K seasons in 2018 and 2019, to step up and fill that role, because I know that he's been there before. I know that he's done that, And I know that Will Levis and especially Brian Callahan have trusted him to be where he's supposed to be and do what he's supposed to do.
Yep. So another thing that I remember about Tyler Boyd is I saw a report from The Athletic out of Pittsburgh. The Steelers were interested in Tyler Boyd, but at that time, they did not want to invest $8 or $9 million on average for a wide receiver 3. Because I think at this point, as you just mentioned, Tyler Boyd is a wide receiver 3 and a break glass in case of emergency wide receiver 2 if an injury, significant injury, happens that you can trust that the guy can do this. So $8 or $9 million a year is around that Tyler Boyd price number, according to The Athletic out of Pittsburgh. Is that worth it? Because you're already paying Ridley on average 23. He's obviously cheaper in year one with how the contracts are structured. D-Hop's getting around that 14 number this year. So you're already investing a lot of dollars. You have money to spend. Treylon Burks is an investment of a first-round pick. So is that type of money something you're willing to spend on the third wide receiver on the roster and also the third wide receiver on the roster that's going to be 30-plus years old?
To me, the answer is yes. It's a very important position, and when you want to find an answer from Will Levis by the season's end, and you want to, get this Callahan offense up and running, why not bring in a guy who's been in it for 5 years? Why not bring in a guy who can help you immediately make an instant impact? To me, this answer is absolutely yes. And, they missed their opportunity to go young at the position in the draft, but now it's time to bring in the vets. Now it's time to bring in the vets who've been there and done that. And you look at this roster, they kind of filled most of their needs in this draft. The only other spot that I'm looking for them to sign a veteran free agent is that safety. Maybe Justin Simmons comes to Nashville. But other than that, I don't know where you're going to spend big money in this, back nine of free agency cycle. There's not many other guys out there that are going to cost a whole lot.
And let's say, I don't think the Titans have tons of cap space and tons of cash that they could still dish out, but they don't have to do anything. I mean, I think they do have to sign a safety, so I'll backtrack that part. They don't have to do anything besides sign a safety and maybe some other depth pieces. An edge rusher depth piece makes sense, but they don't have to do anything at wide receiver. I want to get to this. I did put up a poll on our YouTube channel, the buy or sell question, because I said buy or sell. The Titans bringing in Tyler Boyd for a visit means they want Treylon Burks insurance. Jack, do you have a prediction on what you think the percentage is buy versus sell?
I would say sell 60-40.
Sell 60-40?
From the chat, yes.
All right, and the chat is both Facebook and YouTube. The poll is just YouTube. It is currently a 10-minute-old poll. I'll leave it running. Buy at 65%.
Good. That's the right answer. The chat came in hard on sell, but the right answer here is buy. You should absolutely be interested in upgrading your offense.
I just saw this. Avoid the Boyd, which is a funny hashtag.
But why? Why avoid?
I don't
where
know.
Else do you look to spend this money?
I don't think there should be any campaign for avoid the Boyd.
That's crazy.
It sounds great. It's really good marketing. And clever, but I don't think there's any reason to shut up, avoid the Boyd. But
I mean, he's been a model of consistency for the last 5 years.
Yes.
Why are we avoiding the Boyd?
Let's get to this next question because I think this is interesting. How much do the Titans need all caps, a wide receiver like Tyler Boyd? And we'll do this on a 1 through 10 scale. How much do the Titans need this position? I think that's going to be a fun conversation. How much do they need a receiver like Tyler Boyd on a 1 through 10 scale? But first, let me tell everybody about our great friends, Farm Bureau Health Plans, fbhp.com/ATOZ. That is where to go to get better health coverage across the board. Health overall, your dental or your vision. Don't pay out of pocket for your contacts. Don't pay out of pocket to go to the dentist. Going to the dentist is so important. I think everybody should know that. When wise people like DeAndre Hopkins and Tyler Boyd and Calvin Ridley say what you need to do as a youth, and that is take care of your teeth, right? So go do that with Farm Bureau Health Plans. fbhp.com/ATOZ is where to get a quote. They've been serving Tennesseans for over 75 years and can help you save money and get better coverage. That's the best of both worlds. And they've continued to invest in their local communities. They work with the Titans. They work with colleges and universities like the Tennessee Volunteers and those youth fields around your city and town. This summer, we'll have that Farm Bureau Health Plans logo all across those outfield fences. So check them out online, get a quote, save money and better coverage with our link, fbhp.com/ATOZ.
Austin, I was on BetMGM before our show today, and I just wanted to kind of scroll around, see if they had season projections up, and I saw Will Levis's passing touchdown number available up at BetMGM at 16 and a half passing touchdowns. That sounds like money to me, people. Download BetMGM, use our bonus code ATOZ Sports, and you'll get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. Look, there's plenty of stuff to bet on. Like I just said, Will Levis's prop is up there. The Preds play tomorrow. There's tons of stuff going on right now. So get some skin in the game with the king of sportsbooks at betmgm.com. And don't forget to use our bonus code ATOZ Sports.
All right. So the question here is how much the Titans need to sign a wide receiver like Tyler Boyd on a scale of 1 to 10. How much do they need this type of guy? Make sure you hit that like button. I see Tron Davenport in the chat there as well this morning on Facebook. So if you hit the like button on Facebook and on YouTube, that does a good job for us to help spread that algorithm, make this video bigger and better to have a greater conversation. So Jack, I'll send you to that chat. How much do the Titans need a player like Tyler Boyd on a 1 through 10 scale? What's everybody saying there?
We're going to start off with the Joneses on YouTube. Steve's at a 4, Mister's at a 1. We've got JR checking in at an 8. Eric Castillo is at a 6. Devin Hughes, 3. Chris Frazier's all in at 10. Chris Bork's down low at 3. Pistols at 7. We got a 3 from Nick. 2.258 pro score from Stephen Young. Or Stephen King, I should say. Boyd Young, however, is at a 3. Chef Rand's cooking at a 4. Cameron Strong's 4. Titans Kyle 4.7. 5.8 from Trevor. 5 from John. IR Hoshi's at a 3. American Taff on YouTube, or American Toff, is at a 7. Reform the Outdoors is at a 3. Jared Gibson, 7.5. 3 from Deshaun. 4.6 from Dylan. 6.5 from Darius. 2. As far as the safety, though, Kenneth's at a 10. Pie Day, 3.14 from Dr. J.
I think that's a good way to put this. Like the Titans, Roger Wilson on Facebook says, need a safety. Like need 10 need as a safety. So where is a veteran receiver that can play the slot like Boyd?
I think I'm at a 6.2. A 6.2. It's not a desperate need. It's more of a luxury item at this stage because you've got D-Hop. You spent your money on Ridley. You can hopefully make things work with Burks, but at the same time, if he goes down, what's the alternative? Who's going to work out of the slot? I think having a guy who's been there and done that in the slot in Brian Callahan's system before works. I think 6.2 is probably the right answer. It's not a desperate need, right? It's something you'd like to have. You can live without it, but you sure would like to have it. So I'm at a 6.2.
I don't know what's going on with the graphic. Every time you click on the show graphic, it goes back to yesterday's graphic, but I don't even see yesterday's graphic in my my options. Like I've got this graphic uploaded twice, and yesterday's graphic I deleted. I don't even see it, but somehow when Jack clicks on the show graphic after he talks about BetMGM, it shows yesterday's graphic. I don't understand why that's happening because I don't even see it. Maybe you do. I
Stream slacking today.
Glitches all day long for whatever reason. So I'm sorry. What was your number 1 through 10 for this Tyler Boyd conversation?
I'm at a 6.2. You'd like to have it, but you don't need it.
Okay. I'm lower than that. I will go at a 4. I'm not going to hate if they bring in a receiver like Tyler Boyd, but I don't think it's necessary. I trust DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley to be reliable, trustworthy, go-to playmakers for Will Levis. I need to see who else can emerge to become reliable, trustworthy playmaker options. So I want to see opportunities given and see who rises. Is it Burks? Is it Phillips? Is it Chig? Is it NWI again by default? Is it Jaquan Jackson? Yeah. Who else is out there? That's about it. Is it Mason Kinsey? who's been around, been hanging around, looking for a chance, been hanging around, trying to break through, hanging around. And so I would rather the Titans stick with what they have because you're top heavy in Ridley and D-Hop, because you got to find out. Obviously, objective number one in 2024 is to find out your answer as clear as possible on Will Levis, whether good or bad. You have to have an answer. In sales, the worst answer you can get is maybe. You either want a yes or a no. After the season, you want a yes or a no on Will Levis so you can move forward one way or the other. The worst thing is, Will Levis, maybe. And I think you also want a yes or a no on Treylon Burks. You don't want a maybe again either.
Who's more of a maybe than Treylon Burks?
Oh, for sure. Burks is way more of a maybe right now. He's actually, I think Treylon Burks is actually more of a no at this point, but I think he has an opportunity to be a yes. So I want the Titans to find out that. And so they don't need Tyler Boyd. Honestly, and I've got the most important thing that Tyler Boyd could provide to the Titans is helping Treylon Burks, Kyle Phillips, and Jaquan Jackson develop. Because you know who I don't want to spend extra time helping those guys develop? DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley. Because I want them to spend all of their efforts and energy into catching touchdowns and first downs from Will Levis to be a good offense. And so I think Tyler Boyd would be phenomenal in the locker room. He obviously has a strong relationship with Brian Callahan and knows the system. And so I think the best thing that Tyler Boyd could bring is that locker room presence and that mentorship of some of these Titans receivers who are trying to figure that out to not be a maybe anymore. And so I just don't know what to expect. Because I also, Sam goes to the combine in Indy a couple months ago, and he comes back and he's like, hey, had some conversations, and I was like, hey, well, what'd you hear? And he's like, people around the league thinks Tyler Boyd has lost a step. And I'm like, okay. And if the Titans don't bring him in, then that kind of tells you everything that they need to know, that you need to know about Tyler Boyd. And we've watched the draft happen. We've watched the Titans have their first round of OTAs with the veterans, and now they decide to bring in Tyler Boyd for a visit. They're not signing him yet, but he visited the Chargers. Now he's visiting the Titans. Seems like the Chargers are continuously one step ahead of the Titans. Joe Alt, J.C. Latham, Vlad McConkey, Junior Colson, the Chargers are just trying to beat the Titans every punch possible. So I just don't think they need him. So I'm going to 4 out of 10 on needing somebody like Tyler Boyd.
I get it. It's just, to me, it's like every decision in sports. When something doesn't work out, you want the exact opposite, right? Mike Vrabel didn't work out. You want an offensive guy. You go out and get Brian Callahan. He's not not an alpha by any means. He's, just seems like a normal guy. Treylon Burks, injury issues. So what's the opposite of that? Well, Tyler Boyd, who hasn't played less than 15 games since 2019, who's always on the field, a reliable option, which is something that Treylon Burks is. Well, really, no Titans fans would call Treylon Burks that. So that's kind of the opposite. That's kind of the anti-Burks, is a guy like Tyler Boyd. And the other thing is, behind Burks in the slot is Jaquan Jackson and Kyle Phillips, who's been more injured than Treylon Burks has. And Jaquan Jackson, a six-round pick, I think it's a stretch to ask for something like 400 or 500 yards out of him in his rookie season. So Tyler Boyd makes the most sense to me. It's a guy who's got ties to Brian Callahan. Obviously, we've gone over that. But I just think he's a reliable, a stable, a model of consistency that you can have in the slot, which is a spot you haven't had much production out of outside of Chris Moore, once or twice a game on a 60-yard catch last season. So I think it's the perfect solution for a big Titans problem.
All right, so we're going to get to some super chats, and I also see Toronto had a comment that I favorited earlier in the show to continue on this Tyler Boyd and Treylon Burks conversation. But first, telling everybody it is that season. It is Mother's Day season. You are 10 days away from Mother's Day. Don't screw it up. A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa can help you avoid screwing up Mother's Day. All you have to do, amomentspeace.com/mom. You go to that website link, and you get a gift card. You either email it to mom, you get it, you go pick it up in person so you can hand deliver it to mom on Mother's Day, or you just mail it to her. Whatever it is, you can do it with momentspeace.com/mom. It's a great way to win Mother's Day because you can pick a gift card for any dollar amount you want. It could be a mani-pedi combo. It can be a massage, a facial, something with her hair appointment, with a Moments Peace Salon and Day Spa. They have over 10 different services that mom can enjoy. It doesn't have to just be for your mom. It can be for your wife, your girlfriend, your fiance, your grandmother, your aunt, whoever that mom figure is in your life. Make sure you treat them right and you give them a Moments Peace Salon and Day Spa for this Mother's Day. A momentspeace.com/mom is where to go. It's so easy for you, but it goes a long way. A guaranteed victory every Mother's Day. So check them out right there, momentspeace.com/mom.
Here's how you finance it. You download betmgm.com and use our bonus code ATOZ Sports. You'll get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. New users, guys, I know that everybody's got their own little sports book. Maybe you've had a bad turn of luck. Maybe you don't like, the selections that you have on your current sports books. Make the switch. Go to the king of sports books in BetMGM. Use our bonus code that you see on our screen. A to Z Sports gets you up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses.
I'm checking. What the? It's still there.
Sam Phelan. I'm Sam Phelan right now.
I don't get it. Well, there we go.
Okay.
BetMGM and games and remind you to play responsibly. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older, Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions, subject to qualifications, and eligible requirements. First online room money wager only. Rewards issued in knowledgeable bonus bets and bonus specs expire 7 days. For following game of sport, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. Okay, the graphic thing is bogging my mind right now. So let's go to a super chat and then a Treylon Davenport comment about this Tyler Boyd and Treylon Burks conversation. Devin comes in with a super chat. By the way, hit that like button. We're about to go over 100 likes on Facebook. I believe we're probably over 100 on YouTube as typical on this morning. So hit that like button for us. It helps us quite a bit. But Devin with the comment saying, is Tyler Boyd going to make this team a Super Bowl contender? A playoff team? How about find out what you have in Burks? This is a make or break year. And I think that's kind of where I'm at, Devin, is I have to know about Treylon Burks this season. And I think you have to see him in regular season games to know the answer. Like, if he has a great training camp, don't care. If he has a bad training camp, I guess you can learn that way. But I think I'm kind of with Devin overall. No, the Titans aren't a Super Bowl contender. Could they make the playoffs? 3 years in a row. Two years in a row. 2 years in a row. The AFC South champion has had a first-year head coach with the team and a young quarterback. With Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence, and then DeMeco Ryans, CJ Stroud, the Titans have first-year head coach, young quarterback, Brian Callahan, Will Levis. So that would be 3 years in a row. That would be absolutely wild. But yeah, it's not out of the question. Like, they could make the playoffs. I've seen crazier, but definitely not Super Bowl contender. I think Tyler Boyd would help them be more reliable in 2024, but I think you've got enough of that you can lean on.
Yeah, you might, but it would just be a shame if something happened to Treylon Burks again, and you knew this heading in that he was injury prone, and you didn't do anything to fix that, and now you're kind of left sitting on your hands with either Jackson or Phillips in the slot, and neither one of those guys you should really be relying on in 2024. We'll see what Jackson turns into, but I don't know. I understand wanting to have an answer on Treylon Burks, but he's got to stay healthy for you to have an answer on him anyways. I want an answer on Will Levis much more than I want an answer on Treylon Burks. I feel like we've already got kind of a taste of what Treylon Burks is and will be. And even when he's been on the field, right, it hasn't just been injuries. It's even when he's been on the field, he's had drop issues. He's been inconsistent. He hasn't been in the right spot. He's been unreliable. So I just want a guy who will be there for Will Levis on third downs, will be there out of the slot. We'll give them a third option when teams do have the cornerback tandem to match up with Ridley and Diop on the outside. Who's that third guy that can change the game for you? They got to go find one.
Yeah. So Tron has a comment. Oops, hit the wrong button. Tron's got a comment here that I wanted to get to. Says, I've said they should sign him all along, Boyd isn't dynamic, but a very reliable pass catcher that can work the middle of the field and be a key player on third downs. And I look, I right there, like he's not dynamic, and people think that he might have lost a step over the last couple of years and is on the way to losing maybe another step or whatever. But I definitely think the thing you can't coach is experience and savviness at playing the position, and Boyd definitely has that. And I do think he would be, if the Titans had the three of Ridley, D-Hop, and Boyd, it's tough to hate what they've got there. I think it's the sacrifice of young development in that situation. And then I did see this from King VC that says he sees the third receiver as more of an important than years past due to the philosophy change. Oh yeah, they're going to be playing more 3 receiver sets than ever before. Since the Mike Heimerdinger days back in 03-04, when you had the last time that they've had 2,000-yard guys with D Mace and your guy Drew Bennett. So it's going to be spread out a lot more than what we've seen the last 8 years, right? Because you had 6 years of Rabel. You had 2 years of Malarkey, exotic smash mouth. I mean, Ken Wisenhunt would not chip to save Jake Locker's life. Or I guess that was Marcus Mariota's life. So, yeah, you're going to see a lot of spread it out sets for sure.
One last thing on this. It's just, I don't understand kicking the can down the road on the wide receiver thing. Like, I get it. You want to find an answer on Treylon Burks, but why not just have a competent core and let Treylon Burks get in where he fits in? And put no pressure on him. If somebody goes down, if Treylon Burks needs to step up one game, he can do that while also the team isn't relying on him to produce if D-Hop and Ridley go down or have a bad day on Sunday. I just think that I'm not super worried about where this team will. I mean, when you bring in a guy like Boyd, you're probably only bringing him for a year or two at most. So I don't understand the idea of let's solve this problem later. Well, it's a problem. Let's solve it now. Let's get back to where we need to be on offense. And Brian Callahan, I've talked about this at length before. He's always had a big 3, whether it was in Detroit, whether it was in Denver, whether it was in Cincinnati. He's had a third guy who's capable of burning teams in certain games. Treylon Burks, I don't know that Brian Callahan has the utmost confidence in. But Boyd, a guy that he's had before and can kind of, cater to his strengths in the offense, I think that makes a whole lot of sense. So I'm not willing to kind of push this problem down, kick the can down the road at the third wide receiver spot. Let's go ahead and figure it out now, whether there's a perfect guy out there for your system.
All right, so there's some hilarious Chris Frazier comments or responses to Chris Frazier on Facebook. In response to Frazier asking Tehran for an ESPN job application form. There's some hilarious responses to that. But I will say, Chris Frazier brings something up that's not dumb. He says, Rand put his vacation on hold to sign Boyd. So Rand did tell the Zone that he was going to go get away for a weekend, the weekend after the draft, but he said some things came up, and the thing is he's going to be live at the Install podcast with Greg Cosell and Buck Rising tomorrow night. I'll be there. Several A to Z people will be there. Jack, you're going to be out of town. What a loser.
I know. I'm
You're
jealous.
gonna miss out. But Rand did say he had to put his trip back to check out a little bit. And it so happens to be maybe a coincidence that Tyler Boyd will be sliding into Nashville while the GM is still in town. So there is something to that. Not a lot, but there is something.
I've just got 2 things left on my checklist, Austin. Tyler Boyd, Justin Simmons. What happens after that is gravy.
Okay, so that's Jack's checklist. Okay, Old Dirty has a super chat. I don't know it, but it just says, go New York, go New York, go.
All right. We've got a New York fan in the chat.
Yeah.
All right.
New York, who? I don't know. But
that's all we can take from that comment.
Our show rule is that we read all super chats unless there is some ridiculous profanity or hate speech within said super chat. We will not read it. But go New York, go is a super chat that doesn't have hate speech or profanity. So yeah. I don't know. But here we are. Magic bucket time, Jack. Let's hit it. Shout out Wilson County Hyundai, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Make them a part of your new car buying process. See him in Lebanon to save money on that ride. Don't pay those downtown Nashville prices on your next vehicle. Check him out, Payne Bone and his team in Lebanon, WilsonCountyHyundai.com. It is Magic Bucket time. Jack, I don't have the magic bucket's in the closet. It's always, I forget it half the damn time. In the closet in the office across the room. I will go get it, but I will tell you, I do have Sam's payoff from last week where he has to wear elf ears on the show. And I believe that's going to be tomorrow. So I'm going to have to get Sam his elf ears on the show for tomorrow. So Sam wearing elf ears. I want your thoughts on Sam wearing elf ears while I go fetch the bucket out of the closet across the room.
All right. Little trouble with my audio here. Austin is heading to the closet. Austin's in the closet right now. Getting the magic bucket. I'll get to some of you guys here real quick. Oh, there's the bucket. Austin, I'm having some audio issues here. I also may need to run to the closet. While you set up shop, I can't hear you. My AirPods.
You can't hear me?
Dead.
Your
So
AirPods.
I have to go find my other backup pair. So I'm going to go to the closet.
No, man, this is a completely crazy, unprepared show. So I guess he heard nothing that I said. All right. You guys in your weird closet jokes, like you don't have things to store in a closet. All right. All right. I will do this will be mine because Jack is obviously not here. So I will just wait until Jack comes back. We'll see how long. Oh, here I see a shadow. Here he comes. Can you hear me? Oh, backup headphones. I see he's plugging them in.
All right, back in the closet. Here we go.
You got me? You got me?
Gotcha.
All right. So this is for me. My magic bucket is ranking my top 5 TV shows of all time.
Okay. How long do you have?
It doesn't say.
No. Okay.
There's no time constraints there. So I will ponder and think. So while I pull yours. Ben says I'm late, but bring back bad sales pitch. We're not doing that. There was a joke about that earlier, and it gets too competitive. All right, Jack, this is for you. So this is actually, I don't think you've had this one. I think Sam had this. So Jack, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
All right. So if you had your own bar on Broadway, what would you name it and explain? So these are good. These are good. Good buckets.
So I'm gonna go first. You're still thinking.
I am still thinking. So if you're ready, or whoever's ready first, your Broadway bar, what's it named, and my top 5 TV shows of all time.
Okay, I've got mine.
You got yours. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm bringing in a partner though. This is gonna be a 50-50 bar. All right.
Well, usually that's how that goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Too much risk on one person's shoulders if you don't have a partner.
Yeah. Well, I got to bring in a financier, and my financier would be Derrick Henry. We're gonna call this bar King Henry's, and it's gonna be Roman style. We're gonna have Colosseum pillars on the outside. It's gonna be awesome. You can there will be axe throwing in this bar. There will be what else will there be? There will be plenty of drinks, reasonably priced, by the way. It's going to have Paradise Park prices to get back to what was good about Broadway bars. That is gone, and thus no Broadway bars are good anymore. But we're going to get back to the $5 pitchers. We're going to have King Henry in the building. It's going to be a Titans out bar with Colosseum pillars, throughout the building. It's going to be Roman style. So we're going to call it King Henry's on Broadway.
Okay. All right. Pretty good. Pretty good. You got some good marketing in there built in. You didn't make it about your name or you.
No,
you made about making money. Because I believe Sam's bar was just going to be called Phelan's because it's kind of like the losers vibe. But it works. I think that's what Sam said back whenever he answered this question. So top 5 TV shows of all time. This is so hard because it's like TV show has changed so much because there's like broadcast and there's streaming. So I'm just going to go. I'm not a huge TV show person. I'm more of a sitcom person, but that doesn't really translate well. So my top 5 TV shows of all time, it's easier to start at 1 because it's hard to do this on the fly. So 1 is The Office. It's fantastic. It ages well. It's brilliant. The characters are perfectly balanced, and big characters and straight line normal people type characters. And overall, just such a well done show with cringy awkwardness, storylines that you care about. So The Office is easily number 1. So I have not seen Breaking Bad. I have not seen a lot of shows. Seinfeld probably needs to be on there because of the level of disruptor and groundbreaker that it was for
Trailblazer.
Seinfeld. Yeah, Trailblazer. Thank you. So I'm going to put Seinfeld at 2. Then I'm going to put Curb Your Enthusiasm at 3 because those kind of go back to back. I'm going to go a little off the wall at 4. And I'm going to go with Dexter.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Dexter was good. Dark, different than my top 3. But Dexter was very well done until the last season. And 5th, I'm not as big of a Friends person as I used to be.
Don't cave.
So,
don't cave on 5.
I'm not going. I don't know what 5 would be. Those 4 were very easy for me. Ooh, Devin says Ozark.
Yeah, great answer.
Ozark was fantastic. I did not finish Ozark for no reason, just other than like it got away from me. What was the True Detective?
Oh,
the first season of True Detective. Because those are like individuals shows. You know, they changed the plot.
Was it McConaughey and Harrelson? Is that the season you're referring to? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So I will say the OG True Detective is number 5.
Gosh, I was just thinking through mine, and I've got some wild ones. But I'll have to save them for when I pull that card.
But I haven't seen True Blood. I haven't seen Sopranos. I haven't seen Peaky Blinders.
That's a great Peaky's a great one.
I haven't seen the Boondocks. Game of Thrones was not for me. So I haven't seen that one.
Is really good. That'd be on my list.
What's Boardwalk was a good one early, but then got really slow. So somebody's like, yeah, you need some sci-fi in your life. I'm good. I don't need sci-fi in my life at all.
Bro Nux has similar taste in TV to me. He's got I would have slid Trailer Park Boys in at the 5. South Park's up there. Haven't seen Fallout.
South, like the longevity of South Park, Family Guy, and The Simpsons. Oh God, Homeland. Chris Bork brings up Homeland. Damn it. Homeland.
You're gonna think of something at like 3:00 today.
Homeland goes to 4. Dexter goes to 5. Homeland was fantastic.
That's my number 1. Hoshi.
Always Sunny. Damn it. Another
That's
good
my
one.
number 1.
Fresh Prince. Awesome. Perfect. God, there's too
You watch
many.
more TV than you let on. There we go.
All right. Seinfeld, out of here. I don't care if you're a Trailblazer or not. 1, of The Office. 2, Curb Your Enthusiasm. 3, I'm going to go Homeland. 4, Fresh Prince. 5, Dexter.
Okay.
Done. I'm done changing my list.
I like it. It's very unique.
Okay.
It's got a little bit of everything in there.
Yeah, a lot of different flavors. So good enough. All right. That's it for us. Jack, we'll see if you start breaking ground on King Henry's anytime soon on Broadway. So that's it for us here on this Thursday. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out the door. Great show today talking Tyler Boyd, Treylon Burks. We'll see what happens as Tyler Boyd visits the Titans. I know Sam and Jack have some articles coming out on A2ZSports.com/Nashville throughout the day. So check that out. Buck Rising will be live tonight for A to Z Sports Prime Time with his new start time at 7 p.m. And we'll catch you guys on a Friday. Appreciate it as always. See you later.
Tighten Up Pod out now.